Hi guys, welcome back to another video of the Q2FY26 earnings season. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Oswal pumps versus Shakti pumps. And I think if you would have caught up with Oswal pump, I think uska IPO आया right before Q1FY26 result. This was one company that was targeting to grow around 55 to 60% for FY26 versus the other company that is there, which is Shakti pumps. They were struggling to grow. And as you know, in this entire solar pump ka race jo chal raha tha, अभी तक there was only one listed player which was Shakti Pumps and it was leading the race. But आपने देखा क्या इस पूरा साल and I think the half of last year you would see the pace of growth for Shakti Pumps started coming down, and on top of that यहाँ पे एक नया entry हो गया player का which is Oswal Pumps. वहाँ पे Shakti Pumps का pace of growth कम हो रहा है, and on the other hand the new player was talking about growing at 55 to 60%, which is twice the growth rate of Shakti Pumps. Now let us see, has Oswal Pumps been able to walk the talk? Because if you look at them, they had a very bullish guidance कि like for FY26 they will do roughly around 55 to 60% in sales growth. उनका EBITDA margin का target था 27 to 29%, PAT margin का target था between 18 to 22%, and they are told that they would want to install roughly around 2 to 2.35 lakh pumps in this FY26. So let us see उन्होंने कितना किया, क्या किया, what is the scene like with Oswal Pumps, right? Because when you are coming out with an IPO and आप इतना बड़ा guidance देते हो, सब number देते हो, and if you're not able to walk the talk, that becomes a huge red flag, especially when there is another competitor in the industry that is telling कि like आपका यहाँ पे इस industry में problems चल रहा है, headwinds चल रहा है, right? So let us see how Oswal Pumps has done over here. Now before we going into depth between Oswal and Shakti Pumps, I just want to remind you guys about two things. One is the investment checklist ka price is going to be hiked up to 9,999 rupees from 4,999, okay, starting from tomorrow. So make sure you get your hands on it before the time is too late. And the second thing is I will be doing a live session today. Me and Rajoshi will be doing a live session today. It will be a Google Meet session. Uska link I've already put on Twitter. I will share the link also in my description box. The live session is today, that is on 3rd December, roughly at 8 or 9. I think that will be a perfect time to do it because many of you will also be getting off of work, so it would be perfect. So if you guys want to join the live session, आप कर सकते हो, we can discuss everything from stocks. आपको कोई भी query हो, you can come and discuss with us. It is going to be like a 1:1, like anybody can come and ask questions, okay? So anyways, let's just come back right now. Let us, switch to Oswal Pumps, okay? The first thing over here, अगर आप इस entire solar pump का industry को देखते हो, you understand that यहाँ पे majority of the order comes from where? From government. Almost 70 to 80% of the order comes from government. They are the major people over here, और आप बोल सकते हो बड़ा customers, ठीक है? Now यहाँ पे government का दो scheme है. One is Kusum 1, okay, and the other one is Kusum 2. ये Kusum 2 start होने में थोड़ा time लग रहा है. It was, now they're anticipating it will start by the end of the year. The third scheme was Magar Tyala. Now I could be pronouncing this wrong. Don't come at me at the comment section, okay? You understand, I understand, we vibe, that's all that matters. But anyways, there is a scheme called as Magal Tyaga, which is from Maharashtra ka government. It is not a central, like Kusum scheme is from the central government, but this Magal Tyaga scheme is from the Maharashtra government. Now, one of the reasons why Oswal Pumps, was able to do this very high, they were targeting the 60% ka sales growth and everything, is because of their high penetration in this Maharashtra state and being able to get a lot of orders under this scheme of Magal Tyaga. Okay, now this is where the problem comes. Remember in Oswal Pumps ka video, which we did in Q1 FY26, we spoke about a lot of risk over there. Although everything is hunky dory at that time, we spoke about risk like one is a factor that 70 to 80% of your revenue is coming from government. The other thing is the concentration risk given in terms of geography because of this Magan Tyaga scheme and because of this Maharashtra. Since you're working with the government, your payment cycle is always going to be higher because government ka payment cycle agar aap dekhte ho, it ranges somewhere between 6 to 9 months. So obviously aapka receivables mein zyada paisa atka rahega, and as a result cash flow will be negative. Okay, so whatever the risk that we saw that is there, and the fourth is the execution risk. Whatever the risk that we saw, right, all of the risk that got played out. So let me tell you first, I think a lot of people will see the top line over here, right? The top line, if you see, sales grew by 73% because guidance kitna tha? 55 to 60, and sales grew by 73%. Not only that, agar aap iska calculation karke bhi dekhte ho, because if you look at H1 of Oswal Pumps, I think they have roughly down, Oswal Pumps has done kitna? यहाँ पे almost 1,000 crore, and they were supposed to achieve like 2,300 made 400 crores. And for this industry, H2 is greater than H1. So if you look with respect to the top line alone, you will see that the guidance is maintained. There is nothing wrong with the top line. Top line to jo walk, they have walked the talk. Where does the problem come? Problem comes in the other metrics, okay? The first metrics, EBITDA margin ka guidance kitna tha? 27 to 29%. Margins kitna tha this bar? In Q2, 24%. How much was the margins in the same quarter last year? Q2 of FY25, 32%. Q1 में कितना था आपका EBITDA margins? 27%. अभी कितना है? 24%. So 24% in this Q2, last Q2 में 32. So do you see how much the EBITDA margin has fallen on a year-on-year basis? Literally fallen, by 8%. अगर मैं पैट मार्जिन का बारे में बात करूँ तो पैट मार्जिन was 27% last time. This time पैट मार्जिन कितना है? पैट मार्जिन is hardly 18%. Operating leverage that is there, they also missed out on that because PAT grew only by 40%. Yes, did the profits grow? Yes, but the profits didn't grow faster than that of your sales growth, because of which they missed out on operating leverage. So do you see one thing? Top line hai, but the guidance with respect to margins has been a hit. The operating leverage has been a hit. Now क्या होता है, जितना तेजी से आपका ईपीएस बढ़ेगा उतना आपका वैल्यूएशन कम होता रहेगा, बिकॉज पी का डिनोमिनेटर क्या है? ईपीएस ना. ईपीएस जितना बढ़ेगा उतना आपका पी कम दिखेगा, राइट? दैट इज बेसिक मैथमेटिक्स ओवर हियर. सो क्या होगा, जितना आपका ऑपरेटिंग लेवरेज कम मिलता रहेगा, जितना तेजी से आपका पैट नहीं भागेगा, उतना आपका वैल्यूएशन एक्सपेंसिव होगा, राइट? बट यहाँ पे मेन प्रॉब्लम कहाँ पे हुआ? यू हैव गाइडेड फॉर अ 27 to 29% का पैट मार्जिन, किया 24, एंड ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट व्हेन यू कंपेयर इट फ्रॉम लास्ट ईयर टू दिस ईयर, last year it was 32, this time it is 24%. So ye kyun hua? Why did they miss out on this operating leverage? Why did the margins fall by 8%? The reason is because again it comes down to that Magal Tyaga scheme which happens in Maharashtra. As you know, Q2 में क्या? See, Q2 is usually a leaner season for these people because यहाँ पे आपका pump construction में time लगता है, right? And when monsoons are happening, your pump install, again it gets delayed by a huge time. And this time we've had a very very terrible monsoon, right? मतलब monsoon got extended all the way even till November this time. So you can imagine. So this was one extreme monsoon का एक impact था. The second major thing was ये जो मगल त्यागा स्कीम है ना, इसका जो average tender rate है that fell by 7.5%. So margin का थोड़ा pressure आ गया यहाँ पे, right? That is another thing. The third thing is called as, now like I always tell you people, everybody now will go and be like, oh, इसका receivables is high, they will make this thing. What did I always tell you guys? Understand the business model. If you don't understand the business model, you will not make jack shit sense of your financial statement, right? This is, I think a lot of you make fun of me for using this also, but anyways, why am I telling this is because how does the entire business model work, right? The farmer needs to submit the documents, like basically पहले एक bidding डालेगा एक company, right? And then after that all these Oswal pumps, Shakti pumps will bid. After that क्या होगा, एक they will get the order. Once they go, they will put up this, they will install this in the farmers jo bhi field they will put. Then the farmer will go submit the document to the necessary authorities ki like, yes, this has been put up, the pump has been put up, it has been working. Once this happens, then only they will get the payment. This Oswal or Shakti pumps get the payment, right? Now yahan pe kya hua hai? Here is a catch. When the farmer, once it is getting installed, the pump is getting installed, उसके बाद for 3 months they monitor the data. एक RMS बोल के होते हैं, remote monitoring of data. It's एक है. Basically, obviously, anybody can put up a pump, but they might put up a default pump also. यहाँ पे already farmer ने, he has submitted the documents and the authorities have released the payment. But if they put up a default pump, how will you get to know? You wouldn't know. So what they do is this farmer has to run the pump for 3 months and they collect the data from this pump के like कितना बार this water has gone to the field, how it has been working. Once the data for these 3 months of this pump working is fine, once he submits this to the authority, then the authority releases a payment. अभी क्या हुआ है यहाँ पे? मॉनसून हो गया. अगर मॉनसून हो रहा है, ऑलरेडी पानी आ रहा है, you do not need irrigation system, you do not need the pumps. So क्या हुआ है? Most of the farmers have not run the pumps because of this. इसके वजह से ये RMS का जो डेटा आते हैं 3 महीने का, since the pump has not been used, it has been delayed in the collection of data, right? You do not have the appropriate data of 3 months. As a result, that the payment that is there already, just already the pumps that you have installed, uska that RMS data has not come. Iske wajah se the payments that the authorities have to give to this Oswal pumps and Shakti pump, that has been delayed over here than your usual cycle. But abhi bol raha hai ki like since in Q3 they're already receiving the payment. This is one major thing, RMS. The second thing maine jo bola, the reason that Oswal pumps was able to give this very stunning guidance of 55 to 60% का growth rate and everything compared to Shakti pumps, we're guiding for 30% is because of this Magal Tyaga scheme that was happening in Maharashtra. Now in this Magal Tyaga scheme क्या हुआ, आपका average जो tender rate है that fell by 7.5%. मतलब क्या, आपका थोड़ा pricing का pressure आ गया. You are able to get the volume growth, but आपका price में थोड़ा दिक्कत आ गई. You have to give some discounting and do it. Okay, basically like I told you always, sales growth में in the investment checklist workshop, remember we keep talking about, you need to have two things, volume growth and value growth. We've discussed the four cases, right? In that one cases where volume growth is there, value growth is not there. volume growth है इसलिए top line आ रहा है, but यहाँ पे value growth, यहाँ पे discounting चल रहा है, या आप बोल सकते हो they had to go back and forth with respect to the price with that Maharashtra government with respect to the fees, and as a result क्या हुआ, आपका value growth went, which resulted in loss of operating leverage and hit your EBITDA margin. Other than that, there was also this one time factor that is there. उनका एक one of the orders roughly एक 40 crore का order book था, even that had a they had to sell those modules at a lower price compared to usual. So all of these three things combined, okay, RMS का thing, Magal Tyaga का system being being shot by 7.5% at an average rate, आपको low करना पड़ा, one time order था which is almost 40 crore का, and एक one time expense भी था which is 25 crores का. All of this came एक bomb के तरह फोड़ा in one quarter, because of which this margins that is there has has been a hit over here. Other than that, if you look at it, यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो in terms of pump का, if you see roughly they have done 50, see they had to put up around 2 to 2.5 lakh pumps in this FY26 in order to achieve that 50 to 60% का growth rate. If you look at H1, they have roughly done around 1 lakh pumps, because Q2 में they have installed 51,000 pumps, Q1 में they have installed 48,000 pumps. Okay, so roughly 1 lakh किया. Again, can you see H2 is greater than H1? So if you look at it that way, they will be able to reach that 2.5 lakh pumps, and they will be able to do that 55 to 60% in terms of top line. But the problem comes again and again, मैं बोल रही हूँ यहाँ पे margin का pressure आ रहा है, and this margin का pressure, although the order book is strong and everything, this margin pressure will also be carried on into Q3 also, because the monsoon system we are seeing, it is again carried on all the way until November. Again ये RMS data collect होने में थोड़ा time लगेगा, but probably in Q4 everything will go, everything will be better. But here is the thing, right? First of all, when you come for IPO, you give a very bullish guidance, and this is what I also tell again and again कि like guidance कोई भी दे सकता है भाई, मतलब, but you will somebody has to walk the talk over there. Execution is the most important thing. The gap जो होता है ना guidance और execution में, वहीं पे either the stock will re-rate or stock will de-rate. Okay, this is guidance, right? You give the guidance, if you're able to execute it, you're able to match it, right? Then आपका stock, this is the guidance, right? And if you're, and this is what you're guiding for. If you're executing this, right, then the stock will re-rate. This is the guidance, this is the execution, right? The stock will de-rate. It is as simple as that. यहाँ पे now obviously I would say it's better to be safe than sorry ultimately over here. I mean, see, it can happen both ways. Who knows, the margins may never recover in Q4 also, or who knows, it may recover in Q4. You never know over here. It all depends on monsoon. It depends on that that high dependency on that Maharashtra government, right? I would say यहाँ पे you be better safe than sorry. Learn what to do, right? Play, but also make sure you're being cautious over here. That is all I can tell. So although again बार बार मैं एक ही चीज बोल रही हूँ, टॉप लाइन है, मार्जिन्स का यहाँ पे जाना, गाइडेंस में जाना, and not having that visibility even in Q3, it will be a bit of a lull period for them. It can again it can be a very very negative factor even in Q3. Q4 के बाद इसको देखना पड़ेगा. On the other hand, अगर आप देखते हो शक्ति पंप्स का भी यही सीन है. Although the top line that is there, top line is even worse for them, because sales is up by 5% and PAT is up, PAT is down by 10%. इनका भी margins का वही हालत है. Margins that is there, roughly शक्ति पंप्स अगर आप देखते हो historically 24-25% का PAT margin, EBITDA margins maintain करता है. इसका EBITDA margin is around 20% this step. Same to same, वही का वही वही RMS cycle, वही cyclones, वही monsoon का वही reasoning है. There is no different for them. But शक्ति पंप्स का हालत is way worse than that of Oswal pumps. That is so obviously there is no denying it, right? And in fact शक्ति पंप्स का guidance was 30% का sales growth, but I don't think they will be able to do 30% sales growth looking at how the top line is growing. They might end up doing that 3,000 crore, because management, if you look at in the Q1 का call, they kept telling 30% growth, but they kept telling we're targeting a top line of 3,000 crore. crore. 3,000 crore in FY26 is just 18% sales growth. And looking at how it is going for them, it looks like that 18% ka growth, 3,000 crore only is what they will be doing. And now comes here another thing, because I think people who got the investment checklist workshop, right, they understand the entire concept of pace of growth, how crucial it is. You do not wait until the sales growth completely evaporates. By the time the sales growth completely evaporates, आपका पूरा capital गया होगा. The game starts when you're able to recognize कि when is that pace of growth getting deteriorated. That time you need to start cutting the stock. Bhai, there is absolutely no grace over here. It could be a transformer company, solar company, chaddi banyan company, yeah, burger company. It doesn't matter. Pace of growth coming down, irrespective of what business you're doing, it is a big negative flag. When the Shakti pumps ka pace of growth started coming down, because if you remember, Shakti pumps ka, because of that low base effect, right, they were able to grow at 100, 300% and everything. And then after that, what happened? Iska pace of growth kam hone laga, 60 hone laga, 30% hone laga and everything. And when I made the video at that time, I spoke about the same concept over here. And this is not the first time, right? Every time I talk about pace of growth, the very most common things in the comment section I get is like, no company can grow at 100%. Yes, no company can grow, and that is where the magic lies, bro. And when I started highlighting about this, like iska pace of growth come ho raha hai, right? A lot of y'all also told me again and again in the comment section, but look where it is at today. Because like I told you, jab bhi wo derating starts, the minute the pace of growth goes, either the stock starts to consolidate, yeah, it goes on a massive derating. Okay, and yahan pe you will see, jab wo 30% ka wo karne laga na, that stock had already fallen from 1500 to 1200, and now I think it is roughly at 600. So kya hua? All the wealth, if you understood the concept of pace of growth, you would have timed your exit properly. But the people who don't understand pace of growth ko concept na, kya hoga when you're not able to make a decision, by the time that sales growth would have completely evaporated, not only you would have missed out on your gains, but aapka jo initial capital hai, that goes on to erode. And you need to understand one thing in the market. I know we're all coming here to make money. Anybody who's telling like, oh, I come here for knowledge is bullshitting. Money is the biggest motivator over here in the market. But a lot of people, in order to make money, what they completely forget is protection of capital comes first. Second comes आपका money making. अगर आपके पास capital ही नहीं होगा, क्या खेलोगे आप market पे? Capital तो लाना पड़ेगा ना खेलने के लिए यहाँ पे. So that is the thing. First, learn to protect your capital, then learn to grow. And the only way you will learn to protect your capital is not just protecting your initial capital, but also learning how to protect your gains. That is as equally important, because nobody cares you have done 3x, 5x, 10x or whatsoever, because if you do not exit at the right time, that same 3x can become minus 3x and take away your capital also. This is why when बार-बार बोलती हूँ, learn the concept of pace of growth. If you do not understand the concept of pace of growth ना, आपको वो गाड़ी का speed, वो race का concept समझ में नहीं आता है ना, you won't be able to tackle and understand when to exit over here. Because if you understood it, you would have known कि like bro, problem started when that 30% का growth, because the management Shakti pumps का it comes down to these little things, in the investment checklist workshop, like we keep talking about, understanding the vocabulary in the con call, because nobody is going to come and tell you like, yeah, we won't be able to grow. Like con apna, who will wash their dirty linen in public? Nobody does, right? So the management in Shakti pumps, this was a slight vocabulary change. Always who kept talking about, like, I know we are talking about growing at 30 to 35%, but this is a conservative guidance we are giving. The same management who went from talking this statement, they're like, I know we've grown for, very long, 300% and all, but bhai, now we are going to be 25 to 30% का ही हम grow करेंगे, वही लेके चलो. जो बोल रहा था मैं conservatively 30-35% guidance दे रहा हूँ, the same management is coming and telling like no, 30 to 35% उससे ज़्यादा उम्मीद मत रखना. Like bro, the man who's running the show, you were able to believe the first statement, but you're not able to believe the second statement. Same man who's coming and telling you X, you believed him, but the same man who's coming and telling you Y, you're like no, I have more confidence than him. Bro, at the end of the day, we all are like people sitting on the outside. They're not our chacha and mama, right? At the end of the day, for you to like have like 100% confidence on them, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt and go on over here. So that is the thing. That was like a major shift, when that thing happened. And obviously the pace of growth came down, and that was also a final nail in the coffin over here, right? And if you had taken that decision with Shakti pumps back then you would have gotten out, with an exit of whatever your multiple could have been, it could have been a 2x, 4x, 5x for you. But abhi kya ho raha hai? Since you didn't exit at the right time, again now you will become a forced long-term investor, right? Because now you do not want to take an exit without a loss, especially when you've seen those gains in your portfolio. Now see how again your psychology plays in the other way around, right? Now you can protect your capital also, but you won't do it because you've seen certain kind of profits, and now you're waiting for that stock to come to that certain buy price. But obviously the stock doesn't know, right? Like, the market doesn't know that Prerna bought at X price, Rajoshi bought at Y price. No, unfortunately now you have to take the decision if you're having, by exiting it at loss. That's all. With Oswald pumps, again, be cautious over here. I can tell you, I would say better be safe than sorry. I always follow this policy कि like भाई मतलब जो भी हो, I would rather buy a stock with like a 10 to 20%, उसको already rally हो चुका है. I would rather, what Peter Lynch tells, it is always better to miss the first train station and catch the train at second station. I think I could be misquoting him, I could be wrong, but basically वही बोलता है कि like भाई it's okay initially आपने 10 to 20% का gain, but better be sure, right, than be sorry. So that is the thing, better be safe here than sorry. I would rather miss out on the 10 to 20% gain than wait in hope for the things to get better over here, right? Or at least make sure your allocation is in such a way where in spite you can play the game. If things go well in Q4, it is well and good, but also at the same time if it doesn't improve, it is not affecting your portfolio also at a very very large scale, right? Like it's not causing a downturn, especially in a bear market like this. I think it becomes very very important for you to sit and reanalyze your portfolio and understand like which is doing well, what cut your weeds and what are your plans. And now when everything is falling, make sure you're only watering those plants that are that has a possibility to grow. That's all guys. वही Oswald pumps का था. I do not want to drag this video. जो है वही है. I mean ultimately now Q4 ही बोल सकता है whether they will be able to get their margins back or not. Okay, so that's that for today's video. And another thing again मैं बोल रही हूँ, आपको अगर वो live session join करना है, by the way it's just an open link. I think the Google Meet has roughly, I think 200 seats or 500 seats, I'm not really sure. But it is going to be on a basis of first come and first serve. There is no payment gateway यहाँ पे. So we will put out the link on Twitter and on YouTube यहाँ पे रहेगा. And whoever joins first, they are able to join the session. There is no any sort of partiality or anything. I know a lot of times, like last time when we did the session, many people were not able to join. But unfortunately, because there is a very limited seats, it's like on a first come first serve basis. So if you guys want to join, see you at 8 p.m. tonight. That's that guys. Have a great day, and make sure you guys are hitting the gym, walking, getting your 10K steps, eat a lot of protein, and read what you own, bro. Whatever you have it in your portfolio, take this effort. The year is also ending. Take the effort to read, understand what you hold, and clean your portfolio. Best time to clean your portfolio, and make sure you're entering the new year with the new you, new portfolio. And that's it guys. I hope you'll have a very very nice day. Bye.